Today's session focuses on OU Campus version 10 for the end user, and that includes logging into OU Campus, editing and maintaining and creating pages, creating and editing assets, navigating through the product, and other end user features. This session is appropriate for all OU Campus users. OmniUpdate software trainer Lila Bronson will be your presenter today. And so without further ado, I'll pass the ball to Lila. Ms. Bronson, please take it away.
Thank you, Christine. Hi, everyone. Good morning or afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. Today, I want to talk to you about being an end user in OU Campus. We define an end user as an editor of the pages, a content contributor, a reviewer. Technically, this is going to be the lower level users, an 8 or below, so the non-administrative users. I want to first talk a little bit about what is a CMS. OU Campus is a CMS, and I want to talk about some of the features in OU Campus specifically. I'm going to talk about end user functionality, including the interface, and how the interface looks to an end user with publishing rights versus an end user who has to submit for approval. Talk a little bit about some of the additional tools and features available to you as you're editing your content and working inside of OU Campus. The dashboard tab, which is the customized experience where end users can keep track of their projects, workflow, mailbox. And the main part of today's presentation will be actually demonstrating working as an end user in OU Campus, editing a page, submitting it for approval, adding a new page, and a little bit what the workflow looks like from the approver's point of view. Question and answers I will address at the end of this presentation. Feel free to type them in the chat at any time, and we will review them at the end of the presentation. So what is a CMS? CMS stands for Content Management System, but what does that really mean, particularly to an end user? Well, one of the benefits of a content management system is you can organize all of the front-end parts of a website, like the media, content, images, everything that makes up what the visitors see. And you can organize all of the back-end stuff that people don't necessarily see, like the database, template files, source code, and you can put it all together in one nice organized place where everybody has a role to play in the process of maintaining and editing the website. So I have a graph that's going to demonstrate a little bit not just what a content management system is in general, but specifically how user roles are defined inside of OU Campus. So everyone is organized into their separate roles, and they come together to actually make and maintain the website. The first role we have here are designers and developers. So they're on the back end, editing templates, creating templates, worrying about the look and feel of the website. Then a big chunk of the OU Campus system is going to be your content contributors. Content contributors would be responsible for editing their content, reviewing it, going in there and adding images to the pages, maintaining all of that good stuff. The content contributors may or may not send their pages for approval. If they have an approver, they would be considered in a workflow process. So they would review their content, edit their content, send it for approval, and then the approver would actually publish it for them. So content contributors may publish directly, or they may send it for approval. You also have your friendly administrators in the background there who are managing the day-to-day operations, worrying about configuration, running reports, site check, broken links, things like that in the background. Everyone inside of this part of the graph so far is working in the staging server. So it's this safe environment where everybody is worrying about the content and working on the templates and managing the system. Once the pages are ready, they actually get published out to the web server, the production server, and that's when they are available for the live, the live website for the web visitors to see. So OU Campus is an easy-to-use content management system. You can edit your pages directly with something called the Direct Edit link. What this means is if you can find the page you want to edit on the live website, you will be able to click a button on the page and go into OU Campus to that page directly and start editing. The workflow process includes approvers and publishers. The workflow is flexible, so you can have a combination of places where someone may send something for approval, other pages where they may publish it directly, and you can have some content contributors who send it for approval while others don't. So there is flexibility in that. The navigation is easy. The interface is organized with a top navigation system in different areas of the interface. You can easily get to different areas with drop-down menus. We have a side file navigation to easily see different files in your directories. And the tool should be fairly familiar to end users. When you're actually editing your content, we utilize what's known as a WYSIWYG editor. WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. And the icons inside of there should be fairly familiar, similar to Word or other WYSIWYG editors you may have seen. The idea behind that is your end users can edit content without having to know any HTML. OU Campus features a templating system, so you can easily add pages into the file structure, into the directory or section you want to add, and maintain a uniform design. When you're working inside of OU Campus, you're on the staging server. All that means is it's the place inside of OU Campus where all the CMS users are logged into, and everybody is working on the pages before it gets published out to the live production server. Inside of OU Campus, the direct edit link can be anything on the page. It's actually custom to the templates. In Galena University, which is our demo site, the direct edit link is the last updated in the page's footer. Once you click on the direct edit button, you're going to be taken to a login screen where you enter in your username or password. If you're using CAS or Shibboleth, you would be taken first to your CAS or Shibboleth login page and then into OU Campus. Once you log into OU Campus through the direct edit link, you go directly to the editable regions for that page. Different templates might have different editable regions depending on how it's configured. And you can identify those editable regions with buttons above the area. So here we have an editable region for the main content. Once we click on that, we actually go into the WYSIWYG editor where we can start changing the content, adding new content, formatting, adding images, and using the WYSIWYG toolbar. Depending on whether you have an approver or not, you may have a slightly different page actions toolbar. Regardless, everyone will have the ability to preview their page, go in and actually edit, which is where you will start to see those editable regions. If you do not have source code action, you wouldn't see that source necessarily. You would go to properties. Properties let you configure the different properties for the page, including metadata, parameters, and things like that. We have an enhanced versioning system. You can create different versions of the page, either a manual version or every time you publish the page, a version is created. You can see the different versions and compare. You can do a page check at any time, run things like links, spelling, accessibility, W3C validate. And then depending on if you do have publishing rights, you'll either have a publish menu with things like schedule, submit for approval, expire, and of course publish, or you'll see a green button that says submit. If you submit, you will have an approver who will review the page and publish it for you. Inside of OU Campus, the interface has a top-level navigation that's organized with different drop-down menus. So here we have a content menu. You hover over the drop-down menu there, and you can get to different areas of that particular part of the interface. So in content, you have things like pages, assets, all organized within that drop-down menu. In the pages list view, we also have hover over menus. If you look at this list here, we have one page that's checked out, indicated by the illuminated light bulb, and I can go over and hover over the drop-down menus to see additional menu options. Anywhere in the navigation, we can access the side navigation that will show us the file structure for our particular site. So here I can see the academics directory is open and all the other pages and files that make up that particular directory within the site. There are additional tools besides for editing content in the WYSIWYG. We also have assets. Assets are a piece of reusable content that allows you to set up a chunk of content that can be repurposed throughout the site. So here we have the asset directory, and we have some different assets available. Gadgets are a big new feature in version 10. So here we have an example of a gadget side panel. You can expand the gadget side panel to see the available gadgets for your site. Some gadgets can be used while you're actually editing content in the WYSIWYG, and other gadgets like page info or checked out content allow you to keep track of certain pages anywhere within the interface. Okay. If you hover over your username, you can get to your settings. If you wish to, you can go to gravatar.com and actually enable a little image that will allow you to have an icon while you're logged into OU Campus. Under reports, depending on your user level, you may see more or fewer reports. Certain reports are available to end users and others are available to administrators only, but reports do help you keep track of your checked out content, recent saves, recent publishes, and some basic information inside of OU Campus. Dashboard is a place where end users can keep track of their particular projects. They can look at their inbox and keep track of things that are in a workflow. In that sense, I like to think of it as the customized end user experience. So if we look at checked out content, this is an example of a dashboard gadget. And this is a particularly important one to end users because when they're working inside of OU Campus, you're going to actually check out pages with the light bulb icon, and while the page is checked out, nobody else can edit it. So it's a way to keep track of the projects you're working on and the pages you have checked out at any given moment. If you want to get back to that particular project, you can click on the blue hyperlink in the list, and it will take you back to the area where you could edit or publish or submit for approval. If you have the page checked out, but you no longer need it, it's recommended to click on the light bulb and actually check it back in. While the page is checked out to you, no one else can edit it. So it's good practice before you log out to actually check back in the pages so other people have an opportunity to edit them. The mailbox is separated into two separate areas. We have a workflow area to keep track of pages that are in a workflow, either pending approval or already submitted for approval. And then we also have an area where you can keep track of system messages, basic messages in the system that other users send to you, reminders, things like that, and messages you've sent. Inside of the workflow area, you can keep track of who the approver on a particular page is, what the page is, and using the status icons, you can see whether the page was published, declined, or whether it's still pending approval, as well as the date that it was submitted for approval. Okay, before we actually hop in and take a look here, a couple things to keep in mind. Only one person can edit a page at a time. This is because of that check-in and check-out concept in OU Campus. You want to check My Checked Out Content, the gadget that we saw on the dashboard screenshot there, before you log out, because you want to make sure you're not hoarding pages that other people need to use. You can enter the system with any direct edit link, but you may not be able to edit the page. So if you go to a page that you know you don't have access to and you try to log into the direct edit link, you will actually go into OU Campus, but you're going to get an error because you don't have access to that page. So it's a good practice to actually make sure you have access to the page before you try to direct edit in there. When in doubt, contact your administrators, and they may give you guidance about which directories you have access to. You can use your keyboard shortcuts inside of OU Campus. One that I highly recommend is Control-S or Command-S, depending on your system there. That will let you save in place and keep editing. We have a save icon in the WYSIWYG, but the save icon will save and take you into preview. So if you want to keep editing, just use those keyboard shortcuts. And within the version system, we have the ability to compare the page. This is helpful both for the end user who maybe wants to see their changes on the page, as well as the approver who is reviewing the page and getting ready to publish it. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here. So in my browser, I have a page that I wish to edit. I can see up here I have a URL that I've typed in. And if I scroll to the bottom of this page, this is where I'm going to find the Direct Edit button for this particular page. Clicking on the Direct Edit button is going to allow me to log into the page. There we go. And actually edit it. So I am logging in as a level 6 user to demonstrate what the interface looks like from a lower level perspective. So after the login, I'm taken to this area with the different editable regions. I had already mentioned before, depending on the template that you are using and you're trying to edit, you may have more or less editable regions. But I can see right here that on this page, this is the main content editable region. So since I want to edit this main content, I'm going to go ahead and click on this particular button. And it will take me into the WYSIWYG editor. So the WYSIWYG editor is this area up here with the toolbar. The toolbar should be familiar to users. It features icons like bold, italicized, underlined, particularly if you're coming from version 9 of our software. Nothing too much has changed with the WYSIWYG editor. Over here on the side, I want to show you a little bit about navigation. I have Show File Navigation here. If I expand this side navigation panel, I'm able to see the other pages in my directory. We have a tree navigation, so if I'm working on projects in a couple different directories or in subdirectories, I can easily expand them down and see the other files here, see which files are checked out to my colleagues, which pages are checked out to me, and navigate that way. I'm going to go ahead and close this for now just so I have a bigger view of my WYSIWYG, and I'm actually going to make a few changes to the content here. So if I come over here, I can highlight some of my text and apply some formatting changes. Maybe I want to make something bold or italicized. Here, I can actually add more content. Okay. Delete some content there. So very easy to edit my content using this WYSIWYG editor. Everything should be, like I said, fairly straightforward here. I'm going to go ahead and show you a few of the icons that are specific to OU Campus. So I highlighted some text here because I'm going to make a link, and I need to highlight it first so I have a starting point for my link. If I come up here in the toolbar, over here where you see this piece of chain icon, I can click on this for insert and edit a link. I want to make a link to a page that is internal inside of OU Campus. So the way to do this is to actually go over to the side and browse and get this Omni browser where I can see the other files in my same directory as well as some that are in other directories within the site. So I'm actually going to create a link to this page right here. So I'm going to hit Insert, Insert Link, and my link was generated. You may notice that this doesn't look like a typical path. This is what we call a dependency tag. I can see the path to the particular page I used underneath it, but the dependency tag was inserted for me automatically to help cut down on broken links and to have the dependency manager keep track of my pages for me. If I wanted to have this open in a new window, I could change the target. I'm going to go ahead and add an alt tag there and then hit Insert. So now I can see my link over here on this particular paragraph. If I wanted to create a link to a PDF or to something else, I may need to upload. So just keep in mind that you can upload a PDF and link to it at the same time as you're creating the link. I'm going to go ahead and insert an image. So I put my cursor up here at the beginning of the paragraph, and I'm going to come up here to this icon for Insert and Edit Image. And again, I'm going to use the browser because the browser takes me to the area for the file structure there. And I got placed in a default images folder. So I could go here and find an image. Maybe the image I need is already uploaded, or I can go ahead and upload to this image folder. If I want to upload, I have two choices here. I can either upload a picture right off my desktop that's ready to go, or I can upload and edit it and use the image editor inside of OU Campus. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Upload and Edit. And I can drag some files from my desktop right into this upload modal here, or I can click Add Files, select the picture that I want to use, and open it there. So now I have my image, and I can use the tools here in the image editor to make some very basic changes. So keep in mind, it's not going to be as advanced as, say, Photoshop or something like that, but you can make the basic changes you need for this picture. So I'm going to go ahead and resize. Since I have preserve ratio checked on, all I have to do is change the top width, and then it adjusts proportionally for me. So I'm going to go ahead and hit resize. I could also crop using one of the preset filters or using a custom crop. I could rotate, zoom, and then undo any of my changes. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this picture here. And if I wanted to, I could give it a new name. Keep in mind, whenever you're renaming your files, you need to keep this extension so that the system knows what type of file this is. So I'm going to go ahead and save it into this images folder. Okay. And now I can find my file that I just uploaded and edited. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this. Whenever you're inserting an image, you do have to have an image description. This helps with accessibility standards. So I'm going to go ahead and add a fairly descriptive image description here. And then my alt tag. I already edited my picture using the image editor, but if I wanted to, I could change some image attributes with this appearance tab. I'm going to go ahead and just change the alignment. You can see the text wrap, add a margin, and then hit insert. If I don't like where my image ended up, I can always drag it and find where the cursor is going right there to move it around. Okay. Users familiar with version 9 may recognize this insert predefined snippet content. So this would allow me to use some reusable content as a template, insert it on my page, and make some changes. Well, one cool thing, and I haven't really addressed this guy yet, is we now have the snippet as a gadget. So if I expand this gadget side panel, okay, I can open my snippets, and I can see all of my snippets. I can organize them based on category or view them all at once. So certain gadgets you can use right when you're editing content inside the WYSIWYG editor. Another example would be images and additional gadgets that you may add down the line. I'm going to grab this guy right here and maybe give myself a little room there. Okay. So now that I've dropped this snippet table onto my page, I can edit it because a snippet is editable inside the WYSIWYG editor. So I could go ahead and add some information into the cells. If I wanted to, I could use the table tools up here, add some rows, some columns, change the width, and edit it here. Okay. In addition to snippets, we also have assets. assets are similar to snippets in the sense that they're reusable and they allow you to insert content directly on your page, but the difference between an asset is it's not editable. So I'm going to go ahead and click here for Insert Edit Asset. And I have some different assets in the asset chooser. I could filter by tag or type if I'm looking for a particular type of asset, or I can just look at the names here. I'm going to click this student testimonial. Keep in mind that some assets, like plain text, will display the text, while others, like this web content asset, cannot be shown in the WYSIWYG. So just because you see this doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's perfectly normal. It's just a placeholder for a chunk of content that will show up once we go into preview mode. Okay. Since it's an asset, I can't make any changes to it. I would have to make changes to the content in this asset under Content Assets, and I'll get to that in just a little bit here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and save this content here in the corner here. And remember, if I wanted to save and keep working, I'd use my keyboard shortcuts, but clicking the Save icon is going to take me into the area where I'm going to preview my page. So if I click Save, I can see a preview of the page. I can see the asset that I included on my page. Down here I can see my table with formatting for my snippet. I can see my content. So it gives me an idea of what the published page is going to look like before it's actually published to the live production server. Under in the Page Actions toolbar, the red indicates that I'm now in preview. Before I had been in edit and this had been highlighted for me. So I've been in edit, we're in preview right now. The next page action tool that I want to talk about here is properties. So if we go into the page properties, I can change certain basic metadata, some of the configurable parameters, update things like the keyword author. So I can change some basic things about my page. Keep in mind that depending on what template you're editing and what permissions you have, you may see more or less parameters on any given page. So for this particular one, I'm going to go ahead and change this up here. And then if I wanted to, I can turn off certain configurable parameters. So I'm just going to turn off the student quotes and then save my changes down here at the bottom. Okay. Every time you publish the page, it actually creates a version of the page in the version control system. So this means that if you've published a few versions of the page, and you want to go see an earlier version or you want to revert back to it, you can in this version system. You don't only have to publish the page to create a version, you could also create a manual version at any time with this save version. So if I click here, I can put my version description and I'll let myself know the changes that I made. And then save the version down here. After the version is created, I'll be able to see it in this versions toolbar right here. If I'm looking for a particular version, either one that I created, I could filter it based on my name. I could filter it based on my description here. So the filter will help you, if you have many different versions of the page, get to the specific one that you need. The version that's in green indicates the live version that's on the production server right now. So this is my published live version of the page. If I want to compare my changes that I've just made to the live version, I could come over here and hit Compare to Live. Okay. So you will see a few different colors, and it can be confusing at first, but the colors are actually a legend that help you see what is different on this page. So green means something was added, red means something was deleted, and blue indicates a formatting change. So it's just a quick way to see, what is different about this page? And if you're an approver, you can see, oh, okay, I can tell very easily that my end user has done a lot of changes to this particular page. If you try to compare to an older version of the page, occasionally you'll see the source code. So you can only have the images when you're comparing to the live version. So just keep that in mind. The source code may not make a lot of sense to you. So the more in-context compare is this live version up at the top. You can check your links and your spelling, things like that when you're publishing, but an end user without publishing rights can also check their own links at any time with this check mark icon for page check. So if I went and clicked on page check, I could run all, or I could go ahead and check my spelling, links, validate, and accessibility. Once the link check runs, I can click more, and I can actually go through and see, do I have any broken links, do I have any misspelled words, and correct them before I submit them for approval. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this for approval. I have an approver designated, so it comes up here in this pop-up window with my approver designated here. And I'm going to go ahead and submit a message. Wherever you see the send copy to email means that it won't only go to the workflow inside of OU Campus or the mailbox inside of OU Campus, but it will also go to this person's external email address that they have in their user settings. So it will go here, and then hopefully, they'll check their own email as well and come into OU Campus and approve the page for you. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this. Okay. And the other thing that it does is as soon as I submit it for approval, I no longer have that page checked out to me. So before I had a yellow, lit light bulb showing me that I had this page checked out to myself. Now it's actually checked out to my approver, so the approver is going to need to go in, review it, and publish it for me. Let's say that I'm done with this page, it's waiting for approval, and I want to go and I want to do a couple other things in the system. Well, since I direct edited to this page, I didn't go to the dashboard or the pages list view. I just went straight to this one particular page. So now I need to navigate away to a different area of the interface. So I can do that by coming in here to Content Pages and getting the page list view. I could go back over here to the Show File Navigation, and maybe I want another page in this particular directory. I could go to, students or index, or we have these breadcrumbs which help with navigation. So I can click on Content Pages, and it's a shortcut to all of the pages in this admissions directory in a bigger view here. If I hit this home icon, I may go up to the root. Whoops. Let me go back here. But occasionally, depending on your access settings, you may not have access to all of the pages in the root. So I'm going to go ahead and backtrack just a little bit. And go back to the area that I do have access to. So keep in mind, if you have directories and they're blacked out here and you can't click on them, it does indicate that you don't have access to that particular directory. So me as an end user, I have access to these 3 directories, and I can go ahead and I can navigate to different pages within these directories only. If I'm looking for a particular page here, say I'm looking for the index page, I can filter, and it will narrow my list based on my search term. If I was trying to find something in a different directory and I couldn't remember what directory it is in particular, I can also do the quick search and search through the entire site. So I went in and I direct edited into a page that already existed. But what if you want to add an entirely new page? Well, this is where the templates come into place. So if I come over here and I click on this drop-down menu, I can see a list of the available templates for this particular directory. If I wanted a bigger view of it, I can hit the plus sign for the new, and it takes me into the new template screen. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this 2-column page here. This is a particular template, and this template is going to show, it's going to decide how this new page is going to look once it gets added into the directory. I have this new page form that I need to fill out, and I'm going to fill it out with information that's going to get passed automatically to that new page. So pretty basic things like a title. I can add some keywords, a summary here. Sometimes you will see this mini WYSIWYG where you can pre-populate some starter content. And then you have some additional file options down here. So if I wanted to, I could add this to the side file navigation. Keep in mind that if it's added to the side navigation, you frequently will still need to publish that. If you don't have publishing rights, you'd want to send that file navigation to your approver to publish it for you. Depending on the template, you'll have certain parameters, again, that you could turn on or off and you can configure. And then file name, wherever you see file name, you're going to want to give this new file a name, but follow the helpful rules down here at the bottom. So no numbers, no special characters. So I'll just do preview day here. And then create. So I used a template, and I added an entirely new page to the file system that didn't exist yet on the main website. So over here, I can see that it got added to my admissions directory. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and I could add content, input my information, my pictures, and then again submit this brand new page that I just added for approval, and then my publisher, my reviewer, approver could publish it for me. Okay. So I've made a few changes. I went and I direct edited a page. I made some changes to the content. I submitted that for approval. I came in here and I navigated around a little bit. I added a brand new page. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here in the Content tab with Assets. So under Content, end users have access to pages, and then depending on their access, they may or may not see assets. So you do have to have access to the asset directory, and if you do, you can click on Assets, and you can actually edit assets that already exist here by checking them out, going in and making your changes and republishing them, or by hitting New and creating an entirely new type of asset. So I'm going to create a plain text asset and fill out some basic information for this asset. So I have enrollment, description. Tags help with organization, so I'm going to go ahead and give some tags. If I don't see the tag that I want, I could go ahead and add my tag there. And then down here under asset content, this is actually where you build out the asset content that you need. Since this is a plain text asset, I don't have a WYSIWYG editor because I can't make anything bold. I don't have pictures. This particular type of asset is just plain text. Okay. So I have my content, and I can go ahead and create this out. If I have publishing rights to publish assets, I can publish them directly. If I have an approver, occasionally you will see a submit for the assets as well, and you would just submit those assets for approval, and your approver can publish it for you. I have publishing rights just for my assets, so I'm going to go ahead and publish here. Okay. My page is being a little finicky, so give me 1 second here. Okay. Oh, sorry about the technical difficulties there. So if you hit publish, what it's going to do is it's going to publish out the asset for you and allow you to go back into the content you want to edit, click on the asset icon again, and put this entirely new asset on your page. Okay. So here I have my new asset. I could go and put it on my page. And the idea behind it being reusable is I could put it on as many different pages as I want, come back here and update the enrollment number next year when the number changes. All right. So under content, as you can see, these are the different parts of the interface that relate to pages, the directory structure, navigation, editing pages, and creating and using the assets. So I'm going to navigate away from this particular part of the interface and go over into the dashboard real quick. So if I go into dashboard, I can look at overview here, and I'm able to see my gadgets that I have on my dashboard, including this checked out content. So the new page I added is still checked out to me. If I wasn't using this anymore, if this were done and I just hadn't submitted it for approval, or maybe I wanted someone else to have a chance to edit it, I could click on the light bulb here, and it's going to drop off the list. So it's no longer checked out to me. I've essentially let someone else come along and start editing it. They could check it out, edit it, and do what they needed to it. You can configure the dashboard so you can turn certain things on or off if you need by hitting the check boxes. And you can rearrange it easily by just dragging and dropping them in place. If I go here into my workflow, I can keep track of what I've sent for approval, as well as basic messages. So again, the dashboard is just a place for end users to keep track of their work, their workflow, their projects, and things like that in the system. So I'm going to go ahead and log out of my end user here and log in as my approver so I can go ahead and approve the page that I submitted. All right. So now I'm logged into my approver here. I can see, my pages that are checked out, my dashboard. Since I want to approve the page, I'm going to navigate over to my workflow. And this icon here indicates that the page is pending my approval. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the page. And instead of just having a submit icon, I have publish. I also have this decline because it's pending my approval. So if I wanted to, I could decline it, maybe send it back to the person with some notes. Or if I'm ready, I can go ahead and publish this. What's nice is that if this were for an event that were coming up down the line and I didn't want to publish this immediately, I could schedule this to publish at a later date here. So I could publish it automatically next week and select the time that I wanted to publish it, give myself a message here, and it would show up in the mailbox as well as the external email. I'm going to go ahead and publish this right away here. So I'm going to hit the publish button. If I wanted to, I could run the link checks again. I could go ahead and add a version description like we saw with the end user login. Or I can just go ahead and publish this right away. Once the page is published, you can view it in a new window down here at the bottom. So if I hit view in a new window, I actually have the live page. So it went from being on the staging server to actually being published out to the live website. Again, you got the direct edit button down there at the bottom. You can see the changes here. And this is the live website here. Okay. So that concludes my demonstration on end user functionality. I'm going to go ahead and share some support resources and hop back into my PowerPoint. So this was a brief demonstration. It was just to give you an idea of the basic end user functionality. We actually have a lot more information on our support site, so I recommend end users utilize it, support.omniupdate.com/OUCampus10. On the side, we have it organized into different areas: interface, pages, reusable content. These should be appropriate to end users. If you look under where it says contributors, contributors is a similar term to end users. So that's going to be things like updating content, editing pages, publishing. If you're looking for something specifically, you can go and use the search or the advanced search and navigate to that part of the support site. Once you're logged in OU Campus, you do have the Help drop-down menu. So from the Help drop-down menu, you have a link directly to that support site. You also have a link to the OmniUpdate Community Network, the feedback form if you are one of the named users for that resource, as well as release notes, which lets you know what version we're in, as well as some of the recent releases that have come with that particular version. We do have in-context support as well, so wherever you have one of the pop-up windows or pop-up modals and you see a circle with a question mark in it, if you hover over that, you get a brief little tip about what you're doing, as well as a link to the complete documentation that will take you to the area of the support site that deals directly with what you're talking about. Down at the bottom, occasionally you'll see the helpful field support, which will give you some idea about what specifically is supposed to go into that field. Okay. End users are more than welcome to join the OCN as well. Registration is required, but it's free. It's a great way to connect with peers, post questions, get some feedback from people from other institutions who are doing the same thing as you're doing. It's also a great place to get release information and updates from us here at OmniUpdate. We have a learning management system, so LMS is short for Learning Management System. It's lms.omniupdate.com. If you would like to register for that, you can talk to your administrators on campus and they can get in touch with us, or you can contact training@omniupdate.com and request to register with the LMS. The LMS has separate courses such as end user, maybe social media, LDP, that deals with different things in OU Campus, and you can go through the different modules. We're going to be adding some self-paced training videos, and it's another learning resource for you. Okay. All right. So I'll now turn it over for question and answers. I'm going to go ahead and end the PowerPoint. And go ahead and type in any questions you have about end user topics or general OU Campus questions into the chat. When will this version be launched? I had a question about when will this version be launched. Okay. Version 10 has already been released. We will be releasing additional versions such as 10.4, with some releases and fixes down the line, but version 10 was actually released already in January. The transition to version 10 depends on your institution and when they want to go ahead and do the transition, so it just depends. If you have any questions, I would recommend contacting support@omniupdate.com, and they can give you a little bit more information about the timeline for transitioning. Thank you, Justin. He had some feedback for us. He said, saw the preview at OUTC 13, looks great, and nice work. Well, thank you, Justin. We're really proud of this version, and we hope that end users find it to be very intuitive, very easy to navigate, and, everything about OU Campus you already loved in version 9 and a lot more. Okay, so I have a question here. Will the dependency manager track files in the media library with version 10? If I understand the question correctly, I believe that that's asking about binary management. So this is from Elise Fry. We do have binary management as part of version 10. So this means that things like your PDF and your so your PDFs, your images, those will be tracked with dependency tags as well now. So they will be in binary management, and you can keep track of them in the same way that you do with your other links. So if they're moved or renamed, the links to those files will update automatically. How do we add user avatars from Daniel Neiman? So I didn't talk about it too much, but you go to gravatar.com, G-R-A-T-A, sorry about that, Gravatar.com, and you can register there. The Gravatars follow you around based on your email address. So you want to use the same email address that you're using inside of OU Campus, and then you can upload the picture, make your account in Gravatar, and it will follow you over into OU Campus. So Gravatar is not just used in OU Campus, it's actually used in other products as well. So there's a question about, has there been a change in uploading of images and documents? It seems to save in the development server instead of the production server. So by development server, I believe you're referring to the staging server. And yes, that is a big change now in version 10. So if you remember back in version 9, when you uploaded your files, they uploaded straight to your production server. Well, now in version 10, they're uploading to your staging server. So when you publish out your file, sometimes you might notice on your page a little checkbox that says Publish Unpublished Dependencies. That will also publish any unpublished images that you've included on your page. If you're uploading images, instead of navigating to the Production tab in the Pages List view, you can stay in Staging and you can publish images from there as well. Are there any plans to add the ability to organize assets into folder? From Gina. This has been something that people have requested before. I recommend, submitting feedback on the feedback forum. Right now, I don't know of any plans in any of the most recent or upcoming releases, but I do know that people have asked for it before. So I would recommend going to the feedback forum whenever you have a great idea. Okay, so give me 1 second. I'm still reading the questions here. So are there any other gadgets in the works? Other gadgets? Yes. The great thing about gadgets is not only are we going to be releasing some, but you can actually build out your own eventually, and we'll release more documentation about that. So additional gadgets in the work are, for example, YouTube, workflow, in progress, analytics, things like that. So we'll be releasing some cool gadgets, and eventually you guys will start building some really cool gadgets. Can the starter content be formatted, font color, size, etc., from Kim Welch? So I added a new page from a template that was using the Mini WYSIWYG editor, and I was able to input some starter content. I just put plain text in there, but since it does have the Mini WYSIWYG editor, I could have done some basic formatting, bold, italicized. If I wanted to make really significant changes, I could always go and edit and go into that editable region where the starter content was located and make additional changes there. But yes, you can do some basic formatting with the starter content right in that Mini WYSIWYG. Okay. Can you assign level 10 privileges that are restricted to separate distinct sites in OU Campus version 10? So this is a question that delves a little bit more into access and workflow. Your level 10 users have free reign and can bypass approvers, can bypass access settings within an account. So your users are tied to an account. If you need to have separate users, so separate level 10 users that have restrictions, you may want to contact support at omniupdate.com and get a little bit more information about having completely separate accounts for your user. So keep in mind that if you have a level 10 user in an account, even if you have multiple sites, they will have free reign to navigate and bypass access and workflow within those multiple sites because they're in the account. Can you go over how to create a new custom left navigation? Sure. So if I understand the question correctly, you're asking about not just adding information, so adding the new page into the navigation, but you want to know how the left navigation is created in general. Is that correct for Natalie? Yes. Okay. When I added the page, I added just a single file into the directory. I didn't actually add an entirely new section. What I could have done is I could create an entirely new section, and that would add in some properties files, including navigation. So the navigation is usually created as part of the brand new section and is contained within the section template. So you can edit the navigations that already exist, but the entirely new navigations are added once you add an entire new section because they're contained within the properties for that new section. Does that answer your question? Sort of. Sorry about that, Natalie. Okay. Give me 1 second. I have a question from Sharon Dietrich, but let me continue working on Natalie's question here. So Natalie, do you want to elaborate a little bit on what you mean? Are you referring to something that you're doing right now in version 9 that you don't see in version 10? Okay. While Natalie is working on that, I'll go ahead and take Sharon's question here. So Sharon asks, I understand that if an image or PDF is moved from one folder to another link, the link will be updated automatically and not break. Is this true of pages also? Yes. So in version 9, the dependency manager was tagging all of your pages with a dependency tag. So if it was a page contained inside of your site, inside of OU Campus, and you were using the dependency manager, you could move it to different directories or you can rename it, and it wasn't path dependent. So the link would update automatically, and you could name it or move it around without any problems. Well, in version 10, you can still do that with pages, but because of binary management, we have the addition of adding that ability to our binary files. So now not just pages, also PDFs and images will be managed in the same way as they were in version 9. And Natalie, I believe that your question, the more I'm thinking about it, is more of a template question. If you want to, we can give you some more information about templating. So the navigation, you don't add the navigation necessarily like you do in the same way as a page unless you have a particular template for it. So the navigation typically in OU Campus is created as part of the new section template. Okay. Any other questions about end user topics? Okay. All right, I'll give you a few more minutes just in case you're formulating your last questions. Okay, let's see a couple people adding some here. Any plans for a visual CSS editor from Justin Gatewood? That would be pretty cool. I do not know of any plans to of a visual CSS editor. I'm going to sound like a broken record at times, but whenever you have an idea, whatever it is, even if it seems like a little off the wall, just go ahead and submit it to the feedback forum. So Justin, okay. Justin asked where you could tweak divs, etc., with the editable regions. Well, your divs and the structure to your actual page is controlled by your XSL. So if you need to tweak around where your editable regions are and where you have certain divs and certain styles on the page, you're going to need to do that within the actual page templates and with the XSLs. So that's a little bit out of the scope of our end user topic for today. But we do have some great information on the support side about page templating and about XSL if you want to go in there to get some more information. True that. Good point. Thank you, Justin. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We will be posting this Training Tuesday on the support site, so you can pass it around. Sorry, one last question while we're still up. So Natalie says, will there be another training session about custom left navigation? Really, the custom navigation, Justin's XSL questions, things like that would be more under a topic about page templating or about the XSLs. So we are going to have an LMS course that's going to talk about some of the more developer level things in OU Campus. We have some information on the support site. We may be doing a Training Tuesday on page templating or on that may touch a little bit more on page templating, things like that down the line, but we haven't decided on that yet. For the time being, again, I would recommend keeping your eye out on the LMS so you can see when we do have those developer courses available, and just poking around the support site, watching some other Training Tuesdays, looking at some, on the OCN we posted some information from some of our XSL classes and page templating classes from the conference, so you can go and look at some of those slides even if you didn't attend the conference. So sounds like there's a lot of interest in that, and we do have some resources already on that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for right now. So thank you, everyone. We will be posting this recording on the support site. Check out the LMS. We have an end user course. We'll be putting some videos in there shortly. And feel free to distribute this information around to your end users so they can see how awesome version 10 is and how hopefully intuitive and easy it will be for them to transition into and learn. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day.